All right, shalom, shalom. All right, brakat Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All right, double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops. Shalom to you, Akim, pushing the work in truth and in sincerity. All right, so coming back at you with another one. Lord willing, this one is edifying. I'm gonna have to be quick with this one because I gotta get up in a few hours, and you know, the spirit was just on me to kind of go into some information, ask ChatGPT some things. All right, in lieu of what's been taking place as of late. All right, we understand that that cruel Lord is pretty much strategically militarizing America. All right, and this thing is you know a thing where they're normalizing it. Okay, because soon there's going to be a crackdown on everything. All right, and from time to time, I always say, everything will be a rule and everything will be a crime. And well, I'll just let the information speak. As we know, you know, that cruel Lord has been, kind of hinting, or he's been saying it publicly, that he wants to move or bring in more troops to more cities, which we know they pretty much broke the Constitution. They said, they're saying to hell with the Constitution. And what these people don't realize is that there's a new system in which, if these are the right words, a new system in which America is being run. All right. It's about to be overtaken. All right. Your Constitution is overtaken. There ain't no more America. There ain't no more freedom. All right. And these steps are the proof. Okay. All right. So, and they took over the Capitol. All right. And they surrounding the White House, and all in the name of safety. But what's actually happening is a hostile takeover. And nobody is going to be able to, essentially go after Trump for what he's doing. Okay, because it's what they call anti-constitutional. All right. So the totalitarian government that we've been telling y'all, all right, the scriptures talk about him speaking as a dragon. All right, and we've been constantly breaking this down to you. A lot of people wrote it off as conspiracy theory. All right, and they're still saying conspiracy theory after everything that's been happening. People's attention, and I'm talking about you Israelites mainly, your attention is completely elsewhere, and you don't realize this is another step towards your persecution. All right, this is another step towards Jacob's trouble. All right, and it's definitely setting up that hour of temptation. Okay, because well, let's just go into this information. All right. So I asked ChatGPT, okay, and I only got a few precepts, but I asked ChatGPT, so if the military takes over and the country slips into fascism, all right, hypothetically, what could be some scenarios, and could civil war be a result? All right. This is another one of those things we've been telling you about. Civil war. Okay. But between who? All right. You're going to have groups and militias and all of that type of stuff. But really, you people are going to be fighting against your own government, or vice versa. Your government coming against you. All right. And a sweeping a flood of troops All right. So it says the answer, it says if a military takeover leads to a fascist system, all right, several trajectories could unfold depending on how consolidated the regime becomes and how society responds. Now, consolidation is expansion. That's all that means. What does the word fascist mean? Let's go into this really quick. All right. Let's see here. Salaki. Maybe it's here. So fascism is a nationalist, authoritarian ideology marked by dictatorship. And I showed you in a few lessons ago that this is what Esau's pushing. All right. I forget the guy's name. Let me see if I can find him really quick. All right. So that's Noah Yuval Harari. But I'm looking for this other guy. Let's see.
Dictatorships might become more efficient than democracies. Do you want a dictatorship? He's saying it may be more efficient. If you don't want him, this guy may be the leader of World Economic Forum. This is what he's going to be talking about when he's selling books. They sell. When he writes books, tens of millions of copies get sold. You need to kind of know what these guys...
Well, yeah, that's Yuval Noah Harari. But there's another guy that I brought out in the lesson. Let's see. And basically it's the same talking point. That's all. That's all I want to show. That all of these elite technocrats are they all talking about the same thing. All right. Dictatorships. And this is what Trump, this is who he is, okay? And he is definitely that cruel Lord in Isaiah the 19th chapter, the 4th verse. Let's see. Let's see. Bear with me for a second. All right, so I found it. All right. This guy, Curtis Yarvin, wants to replace American democracy with a form of monarchy led by a CEO, which basically he's going into dictatorship, okay? And fair use, you know, I'm using this site. So they won't let me. But Curtis Yarvin is his name, and he's pushing for dictatorship as well. But it's just showing you all of them, you know, all of them, they have the same talking points. All right. Yeah, because this guy mentioned dictator phobia. People have dictator phobia. All right. And people basically, they're you know, scared of a dictator. All right. And we know a dictator is if a dictator's in rule, right, they more than likely they're gonna apply pressure on you poor, right? So Curtis Yarvin, also known as Mencius Moldbug, argues that Americans need to overcome their dictator phobia to embrace a government run by a CEO-style dictator, which he believes, and this is all benefiting only corporations, because it's allowed corporations to come in and bring in a totalitarian system using, you know, government heads, all right, and very well oppress the hell out of poor people, all right, everybody, okay? And this is what Esau wants to set up. His ideas have gained traction among some tech elites and right-wing figures, all right? And this is running the country now, right-wingers. This is advocating for a shift towards a more authoritarian government or governance model, okay? So that's the talking point among the elites. All right, so it's just not a fad. It's just not a saying, you know, something, and we're trying to, you know, spread or fearmonger, you know. This is the real deal, and this is real time. This is where we at with things. So a fascist theocracy is basically what's in play right now. Is a political system that merges two forms of authoritarian rule: fascism, a nationalist authoritarian ideology marked by dictatorship, suppression of opposition. Okay, and this is going to be big because it's going to play a main role on who and how things are going to be done from here on out. All right, especially if you speak against the powers that be, you're going to be held, essentially you're going to be in trouble, and ultimately is to really come after the truth. Anything that it's against their talking points. So militarism and control over society for the sake of unity and state power. All right, this is what's happening right now as we speak. And with Trump, saying that he can send troops, and that these governors from these different states are begging for him to send in troops. All right, it's essentially a fascist thing going on. All right, theocracy is a system in which religious leaders, and they're part of the occult. All right, witches and warlocks, witchcraft, heavy demonic stuff. They come in the spirit of Satan, as the scriptures say. So they have absolutely no good intention for anyone. All right, we know what their commandments are all about, and that's wiping humanity out, especially those that speak uprightly. So it says leaders or religious law hold ultimate authority over government and society. All right, and that's the occultist. All right, so let's go back. All right, because I just want y'all to see, and fully understand what time you live in. Okay, and if you can fully understand what time you live in, right, you'll be able to adapt, or have, a certain mindset, I guess, towards how you're supposed to move. All right, I'm just queuing that up. So let's get a little bit more into it. Stage 1. All right. So I'll just read it again. Salaki. It says, if a military takeover leads to a fascist system, several trajectories could unfold depending on how consolidated the regime becomes and how society responds. Now, the consolidation is happening now. The expansion is happening now. So they have to get these troops and normalize these troops in the cities, because they're not going all out, all out, just take over things by force. All right. They're slowly but surely doing it. Okay. And it's going to be in the name of making the place safer, under the morale of making America great again. All right. Beautifying the city. All right. And what they're doing is locking people up, putting them in inhumane situations. And of course, we know that ain't good, right? But I mean, these are the sorrows. This is what we've been telling y'all was coming. All right. And it's going to become so overwhelming that we're going to need a miracle, because they don't have anything good in store for us. Let's just say it like that. Okay. This is way grander than what, what people, are leading on about. We understand ultimately this is to wipe us out, okay, and have that control, and to silence the truth, and to erase the history so that they can start over and, with their new world order. So it says suspension and re-education and all of that type of stuff that's going to be the reality. Okay, so suspension of civil liberties, martial law, censorship, mass arrests of political opponents, bans on protests, right? And that's why they got the troops there, because people, the only way people can fight back is an all-out strike, and the protesting. But what's going to happen is they're going to counter that, and that's why they have the troops. You're not going to be able to protest or do anything or to strike. And that's why you think they got their the term for it is what is it? Well, AI is taking over the jobs. All right, autocracy is something like that. So they're taking people's jobs away, and it's a slew of things that's that's going to result from that. So Salaki, it says here, propaganda campaign, state media framing the coup as necessary for order or national security. All right. Okay. And that's what they're talking about now. That's the talking point. They already created the talking point. So it says targeting scapegoats, ethnic, religious, or political minorities painted as threats to unity. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're going to have to pay the ultimate price. All right. You're going to be the ones that's being persecuted. Why? Because they're saying Negroes are crime or low-income neighborhoods are crime infested. Migrants are criminals, part of gangs, and they want to do all sorts of things. And that's just not that's not the whole truth. I mean, to some extent it is. And see, ultimately what's happening here is that the Lord is arousing the spirit of Esau to take over everything. Because Esau wants to be like a God. So they're going to play the role of God through technology, and they're going to control everything. And that's what they want to do. And ultimately they want to make their subjects, they want to control their subjects as well. Okay. And this ain't just, this is, we're talking about making you a digital slave. Ultimately, that's what's on the table. All of this is just leading to, the image of the beast. All right. If you don't worship the image of the beast, you should be killed. In other words, meaning they can cut you off in any way. And then the mark of the beast, which they basically they can take your soul. All right. They can, now you belong to them. You're property of them. And you ain't going to be able to call on the Most High Yahweh to save you, because you chose this devil to save you. All right. When you opt into a system. All right. So consolidation of power, centralization of authority, dissolution of legislatures. All right. Courts stripped of independence. You see? And so you got certain courts that can kind of fight against, certain, members of the government if they're doing something, illegal, which is happening. I mean, I don't want to say theoretically or hypothetically, but realistically, that's what's happening now. All right. And people are mad and up in an uproar, So militarization of daily life. Okay. This is what we're finna see more of, because they're going to normalize it. All right. And they're going to go after the poor. They're going to go after upright speech. They're going to go after people that protest, people that's going to demand, the Constitution or whatever. Those people are in trouble because they eliminated the Constitution. Habeas corpus. They got troops on the ground, and they're not supposed to. They eliminated due process. Okay. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on that you Jakes are just not hip to. All right. Are completely ignoring. But it's going to be the setup. The Lord is setting you up. Okay. Or setting this devil up to get you. All right. And of course, among other things as well, the Lord he's about to bring the pain. All right. So expansion of surveillance, checkpoints. All right. This is what's all being set up. All right. Palantir they just did a deal with Palantir. ICE and Palantir. Okay. And you think that's going to just limit, it's going to be just limited to You so-called Jakes. I think I spelled it wrong. Palantir. Okay. I mean, you think it's going to be just limited to the so-called, Mexican or Venezuelan? No. Okay. Organizers are demanding Palantir drop contracts with ICE and Israeli military. Right. Inside ICE's $30 million deal with Palantir to track immigrants' movements using AI. We told you it was coming, man. We told you it was coming. So it's going to be a militarized surveillance state. Practically not a martial law. And it's a fascist. It's going to be a fascist theocracy. Okay? All right? And these are occult members. These are, witches and warlocks who come in the spirit and power of Satan. Right? Wanting to take over everything. Okay? So expansion of surveillance checkpoints, compulsory loyalty oaths, expanded police military powers, suppression of dissent, trade unions, churches, community groups either co-opted or crushed, right? So have in mind your 501c3 chartered, groups, organizations. They're going to be completely compromised. It's over with. So Jake has been talking the shit, doing the podcast and doing, setting themselves on high and not prophesying. They got Jake in a completely different mindset than they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be preparing them for what's to come. And Jake ain't even gonna have the capacity to deal with the pressure that Esau is about to bring. Okay. All right. And it's going to be detrimental, detriment, right, to survival. All right. But hey, the Spirit of the Lord is on the men of the Lord to let you know what's going to happen so that you can, what to pray for. Okay. Stage 3, possible scenarios: civil resistance, strikes, underground movements, sabotage, international solidarity movements against the regime. And for this one, suppression of dissent, all right, I just limited it to you 501c3 chartered Israelites, but a whole lot of other groups are going to be in trouble. All right. So strikes, underground movements, sabotage, international solidarity movements against the regime. All right. 2 Ezra 15. All right. Sedition among men. Okay. This is what it's going to lead to. Okay. And then you better believe they're going to starve people out, man. All right. And it's going to provoke people. Civil war. If factions of the population, armed groups, militias, defected soldiers resist violently, because that's what's happening, they're going to realize that, wait a minute, they just completely took over our country with this fascist ideology. This is the new world order. They're gonna lose their minds when they realize it's gonna be too late. It's already too late. This is a fragmented war could erupt. But the authoritarian stability, the regime may succeed in suppressing opposition through overwhelming force, creating decades of dictatorship. You see? And this is just the beginning, okay? This is very, very highly possible. Foreign intervention, outside powers might back rebels or the regime, escalating it into proxy warfare. Now, from what I'm noticing, I think it was some policy, and I might be wrong, some policy. Well, if I think I'm wrong, I'm not going to even mention it, but a possibility there's a possible thing where they can stop information from going out and coming in as far as videos and news and stuff like that. All right, so civil war potential. Civil war is not automatic, but possible under conditions such as strong regional divides, ethnic, economic, political factions with their own militias, defections from the military creating rival armies. That's going to happen. And the Lord is coming to bring division. That's Luke 12, and 49. You read it on down. It goes in. It goes into division, the Lord bringing division. So external funding or army. All right, I'm going to try to keep this video under 30 minutes. So it says of opposition forces, regime brutality that pushes resistance into armed rebellion. Now, they're arming the troops right now that they put in D.C., okay? And that's a whole nother ball game. So the timeline, man, could be sped up really fast. That's what it's looking like. That it could be, it could be in no time. And just imagine if a crisis happened. Oh, people are going to be in for one. All right. Historical parallels: Spain, 1936 to 39, military coup led directly to civil war. 73, Chile, military coup created a dictatorship, but no civil war due to swift suppression. Nazi Germany, Italy, fascism consolidated without civil war. And these people ain't gonna be able to fight back. That's why they're gonna be able, and that's what the scriptures go into the hour of temptation. They're gonna be able to bring in this thing. And you got so many people that's for it, not realizing that they have pretty much sold themselves out. Okay. And they're going to bring in, this beast system. All right. That easy because people, they want a better America. So they're going to give you their version of a better America, which is going to be that new world order. So recommendation study hinges. Oh, well, we ain't getting into that. Give detailed timelines of escalation. So I'll just ask it what would happen if it escalated, or a timeline. All right. A fascist military takeover usually unfolds in stages. Below is a detailed timeline of escalation moving from the initial coup through potential civil war or authoritarian consolidation. And they're going to be able to fizzle out any dissent or rebellion. Okay. But there is going to be a wide range of sedition. All right. Coup executed. Military seizes government buildings, communication hubs, and removes civilian leadership. They already got it. They already, this place is through. Martial law declared. Shock and fear. Populations hesitates to resist openly. Opposition leaders may flee, go underground, or seek international asylum. You see? So they got to lock down everything. They're putting themselves in position to do so. They're normalizing it now. So people may think that, oh, it's nothing. It's just it's gonna die down. It's gonna quiet down, and we're gonna be off to being regular again. Propaganda wave. All right. So martial law declared curfew, suspension of constitution, censorship, and mass arrest of politicians, activists, and journalists. That's heavy. Okay. That's that. When we mention martial law, that is the result of it. People having to go underground. Okay. They might start executing people, and boy, when it gets to us, all right, we're going to be the next problem. And we can see that we're not too far from that. They're coming after the Israelite movement, so-called. All right. The awakening. All right. This is what this is what he's been preparing for. All right. And he had hundreds of years to do so. So it says propaganda wave, state media frames the coup as saving the nation from chaos, corruption, or external threats. Stage 2, consolidation, months to a year. Elimination of rivals, scapegoating campaigns, expansion of secret police and surveillance, militarization of society. All right. Schools, workplaces, and media infused with nationalist propaganda. So you can't, man, yeah, this is like Nazi Germany all over. All right. Resistance and crackdowns, civil disobedience, strikes, protests, and sabotage by unions, students, or activist networks. Violent repression, military opens fire on demonstrators, conducts purges and disappearances. This is what we've been saying. Okay. And we're supposed to be, preparing ourselves for that. So let's just bring it home with these precepts. Ephesians 5:15, see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. With all that I just read, just sums it up. You're supposed to what? You're supposed to be finding the, opportunity, all right, or not letting opportunities go to waste when it comes to getting this understanding, because you're building your spirit. Okay, so it ain't no time. That's why you're supposed to just you're supposed to be done with the world. You ain't supposed to be complaining about what you're not able to do and why you're not in being all sad because you can't be part of the world. You were taken out of the world so that you won't be judged with it. Okay. So wherefore be not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. That's right. The most important thing is understanding what the will of the Lord is. That means you understand why these certain things are happening in the world, because ultimately there's a finality, there's an end to it all. There's a purpose determined. All right. And the Lord has that purpose ultimately to bring in judgment and to take out the wicked. Okay. And to bring salvation. Okay. And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. So you got to walk in the Spirit. You got to be filled with the Spirit, which is the word, this understanding. Okay. Speaking to yourselves in psalm and hymns and spiritual songs, singing it and making melody in your heart to the Lord. All right. Very important. All right. 2 Ezra 16:68. And this is the reality of what we're seeing pretty much being done. All right. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. Who you niggas, Latinos and Native Americans. All right. And then the rest of these dumbass Americans. Okay. Whether they be don't matter what nationality it is, but everybody. Okay. It says, and they shall, everybody outside of the tribes, they gonna get it too. Okay. It says, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. Right. And so they're gonna detain, it, gonna be disappearances and all of those type of things. No due process. Okay. And they're gonna lock you up. And guess what? The only way you're gonna be reintroduced into society is if you take and believe in the image, being re-educated, and then ultimately what's going to be the main thing is that mark, that chip. All right. So let's move on. Okay. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Right. So you're gonna have those that consent, okay, but they're gonna get mowed down. Okay, because the object is to exterminate, get rid of. All right. Verse 70, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. That's what's coming. Okay. For you Jakes. All right. Because they want to get rid of you. The hatred is real. And this is the final solution. Okay. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And they're gonna be having propaganda to where you are the problem. You're the problem. The so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American are the problem. This is why the world is going to shit. And then the blame is gonna turn on the men of the Lord. Okay? Watch how they finagle that thing. Watch. Okay? It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Okay, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. All right. And the Lord said he was going to bring a third part through the fire. Remember that 2/3 are going to be wasted and destroyed. All right. Unalive and and they're going to be judged in ways, that the scriptures kind of point out. All right. So last scripture. All right. And this is for these, these dumbasses. These are dumbass Americans. Okay. These Egyptians, because America is spiritual Egypt. Egypt shall mourn. The foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. All right. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting in hell, and with a fearful consolation. Let me get straight to the point, Slocky. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Okay. And the scriptures talk about, the devil coming down with great wrath. All right. And it says the same thing. Woe to them, to the inhabitants of the world. Slocky. I gotta bring this out. And I knew I said this lesson was good. I was going to try to keep it under 12 minutes. And I'm extremely tired, so Salaki. It says, Revelations 12:12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Right? And he's making a short time of, his agenda. So 2 Ezra 15:15, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay? Guns. The modern day sword is the gun. For there shall be sedition among men, and meaning the uprising among men, and invading one another. Right. Okay? They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Right? Because they're going to know that essentially their leaders have turned against them and have always been corrupt, and they're going to realize it, and they're going to realize that their freedoms are at stake, and they're going to realize, well, those freedoms are gone, and they're going to see this oppression of these corporatocracies, these corporate entities taking over. All right, and people are going to be pissed, but there ain't going to be much they can do. All right. It says in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So for some time, there's going to be sedition, and then they're going to come through and sweep it with, sweep people away by force. Okay. And man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Right. Checkpoints, lockdowns, demilitarized zones, or if that's the correct term. This is for because they're of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, because what they're pretty much cut people off from food. All right, it's gonna get so bad. All right, they're gonna shut down the United States. And just imagine the other scenarios that's coming. If you can visualize the other scenarios that can come: rolling blackouts, a water supply shut down, even being compromised by being poisoned. This is, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread. And they're going to starve people out. Okay. And they're going to cut you off from these resources if you don't believe in their way, or if you don't believe in their image. Okay. It says, in for great tribulation, behold, said the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east. Okay, so, right, so I'm gonna cut it there, all right? So, I mean, you pretty much, I went longer than what I wanted to, but Lord willing, it was edifying, I did have something else in mind, but it escapes me. So, I gotta get some rest. And again, Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time, I say shalom.